to it and shoot for the sky.
WrestleMania is the biggest show of the year. Fans always fantasize and predict what matches we'll see at WrestleMania months in advance. Some matches at WrestleMania are instant classics and are so good we get to see them twice or more at WrestleMania. So, in the list, we list 10 WrestleMania matches that happened more than once. Number 1, The Undertaker versus Triple H. This was a feud that time and time again has set the stage for the event it was on. WrestleMania is no different. Undertaker and Triple H has put on show-stealing matches not once, not twice, by 3 different times at WrestleMania. Once at WrestleMania 17, again at WrestleMania 27, and lastly at WrestleMania 28. Undertaker was victorious in all 3 Mania matchups. Their WrestleMania 17 match was a regular one-on-one encounter, but it was more of a anything-goes match, as once the referee was knocked out, the two used weapons and fought all over the arena. Their WrestleMania 27 match was a match between 2 legends who wanted to prove to the fans and each other that they were the best, and although there were new and younger faces in WWE, that they were still the faces that ran the place. And their WrestleMania 28 match was truly an end of era, as both men would battle one last time at the Show of Shows, and this time, Jay in a Hell in a Cell match, and with Shawn Michaels as the referee. At the end of the match, all 3 men hugged at the top of the ramp, giving us a chance to thank then 3 men, and we would never see these Attitude Era stars square off at WrestleMania ever again, and signaling the true end of an era. Number 2, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Another trilogy on this list, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns are no strangers to each other when WrestleMania is spoke about. They have met at WrestleMania at 3 different times in their careers. Once at WrestleMania 31, where the build-up to the match and the match itself was very criticized. Neither Lesnar or Reigns would be victorious, as Seth Rollins would cash in his Money in the Bank contract and defeat both for the WWE Championship. They'd meet again at WrestleMania 34 in a match once again criticized by fans, as the fans wasn't interested or invested in the match at all. Brock would be victorious in this match, but their best WrestleMania match came at WrestleMania 38, when Roman Reigns was the tribal chief, and Brock Lesnar was the fan favorite. This would be a winner-takes-all match, as Brock's WWE Championship and Roman's Universal Championship were both on the line, crowning an undisputed champion at WrestleMania. Roman would beat Brock and become undisputed WWE Universal Champion until WrestleMania 40. The 2 earlier WrestleMania matches between the two was definitely the worst and more negatively received by fans. But the final one at WrestleMania 38 was more intriguing and encouraged by fans. This WrestleMania rivalry is one of a small handful of feuds to get a trilogy at WrestleMania. Number 3, The Undertaker versus Kane. These 2 brothers were always meant to meet in the ring at some point, and WrestleMania is that big of a stage to do it. Their first of 2 WrestleMania encounters happened at WrestleMania 14, when Kane debuted in WWE and vouched to get revenge on his brother. Months of feuding resolved in these 2, fighting it out finally, and it just so happened to be at WrestleMania 14. Undertaker would defeat his younger brother, and after this, would fight and team together off and on throughout the years. They wouldn't meet at WrestleMania again until WrestleMania 20. Undertaker was undergoing a character change, as he would revolt back to his dead man character and away from his American badass character. At WrestleMania 20, after months of preaching The Undertaker was dead and never coming back, Undertaker would return, and as a mix of dead man and American badass, leaning more towards the dead man persona. Undertaker would again defeat Kane at WrestleMania, and their WrestleMania sequel would meet its end. Of course, their WrestleMania 14 match was more compelling and thrilling, but the build-up to their WrestleMania 20 match was very intriguing and almost movie trailer-like. This was a great feud, and if you grew up in Attitude Era and continued watching into the ruthless aggression era, then you can really appreciate this WrestleMania rivalry. Number 4, Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. Bray Wyatt and John Cena have a unique history together, and WrestleMania is a big part of that. Bray and Cena fought on 2 different occasions at WrestleMania. The 2 first met at WrestleMania 30. Wyatt was trying to ruin the legacy of Cena and trying to get Cena to show his true colors, so to speak. The Wyatt family would do everything to break Cena, but Cena would prevail and show he was stronger than the Wyatt family's cult antics and lifestyle. They'd meet again 6 years later at WrestleMania 36. But this time was way different. Bray Wyatt had adopted the Fiend character, and it was during the COVID-19 pandemic, and their match took a different turn. It was a pre-taped cinematic match titled The Firefly Fun House Match, where Bray Wyatt would take Cena on a journey of his career and showing Cena he was the opposite of the man he claimed to be. Bray Wyatt would win this match, and the WrestleMania record between the two was tied, Cena winning their first encounter at Mania, and Wyatt won their second encounter. With Wyatt now passed away and Cena retiring in 2025, it's sad we'll never see a third and final WrestleMania match between them. Number 5, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Some feuds we love and others not so much. Brock Lesnar and Goldberg had a feud that was decent, to say the least. The 2 Titans met on 2 separate occasions at WrestleMania. Their first WrestleMania match took place at WrestleMania 20. Unfortunately, this match was crapped on by fans. News leaked out that WrestleMania 20 would be both men's last match in WWE. Fans knew Goldberg was leaving wrestling in general, and Brock Lesnar was going to the NFL. And fans didn't appreciate them getting a WrestleMania payday and bolting on them. So they boycotted the match, and the match itself didn't help the case much, as both men put on a sleeper of a wrestling match. Goldberg would win the match, but it didn't really matter, or do much for his career or Lesnar's. Brock and Goldberg both would return years later in WWE, and 13 years later, they'd meet again at WrestleMania 33. This time, Goldberg was Universal Champion, and the two had chance at redemption. A title on the line and a better reception made the match better than the first go-around. The match didn't last long, but it did what it was supposed to do and was way more accepted and enlightened. Brock would defeat Goldberg and become new Universal Champion, and the two would tie 1-1 at WrestleMania against each other. Number 6, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. This WrestleMania sequel is one that never got a chance. The 2 WrestleMania matches these two had were worthless and nothing to write home about. Their first WrestleMania meet happened at WrestleMania 27 on the pre-show. Sheamus defended his WWE United States Championship, again Bryan in a lumberjack match that lasted less than 4.5 minutes. After the Lumberjacks invaded the ring, the match ended in no contest, and the match was instead turned into a battle royal. It didn't do much for either man involved. As if things couldn't get worse, they'd meet again at WrestleMania 28 a year later, and it was worse than the first time. The World Heavyweight title was on the line, but it didn't matter. Sheamus would defeat Bryan for the world title, but in 18 seconds. This match may have been on the main show and for a world title, but like their first match a year prior, did nothing for either man and was a letdown of a built-up match. 2 WrestleMania matches between the two men, and both matches combined accumulate to less than 5 minutes total. It's fair to say, both matches could have been dealt with better, and at this point, just left off the cards altogether. Number 7, The Rock versus John Cena. This WrestleMania feud was a dream feud come true for fans, and it's only fitting that both of their one-on-one matches together happened at WrestleMania. This rivalry was so big that it couldn't have taken place anywhere else but WrestleMania. This WrestleMania sequel took place at WrestleMania 28 and WrestleMania 29. At WrestleMania 28, a year of building up the match finally imploded. These two spent a whole year taking shots at each other and building this match up the biggest way possible. And at WrestleMania 28, The Rock and Cena met in a match for the ages. Being the first time they'd ever compete against each other, all eyes were on them. Rock would defeat Cena and send Cena into a downward spiral for the next year. But at the Royal Rumble event in 2013, the stars would align once again as Rock defeated CM Punk for the WWE Championship, and John Cena won the Royal Rumble match. And that would set the stage for WrestleMania 29, with the main event once again being Rock versus Cena, except this time, it was for the WWE title. Cena this time around would defeat Rock and become WWE Champion again. They would meet again at WrestleMania 32 to fight off the Wyatt family, and again at WrestleMania 41 as they would get it on during the Roman reigns and Cody Rhodes' WWE title main event. And now in 2025, Cena will have another WrestleMania chapter with The Rock, as Cena will face Cody Rhodes for the WWE title, and he has chosen to side with The Rock to take Cody Rhodes down. These two have met off and on at WrestleMania, sometimes against each other and other times on the same side. But as far as their two WrestleMania matches together, they are two of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, and it deserves a place on this list, no question about it. Number 8, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. These two Attitude Era stars traveled and fought all over the world in their careers. And before WrestleMania 25, it was all just a dream of what would happen if they met at the big show. But we'd end up getting this WrestleMania dream match not once, but twice. Once at WrestleMania 25, where Shawn Michaels wanted to prove WrestleMania was his show, and he couldn't claim WrestleMania as his until beating The Undertaker at it. They'd put on maybe the best match of the night at WrestleMania 25, and even one of the best matches of all time. Undertaker would defeat Shawn Michaels and make his undefeated WrestleMania streak 17-0. The next year rolled around and Shawn Michaels wanted his rematch against the Taker at WrestleMania 26. The dead man wouldn't give Michaels the match for free, however, as he wanted HBK to also put something on the line, and that just so happened to be his career. Michaels would accept, and so at WrestleMania 26, it was streak versus career. Michaels would give everything he had, but it wasn't enough to defeat Taker. Undertaker would win and make his WrestleMania streak even stronger at 18. And with Shawn Michaels being two of those numbers. Shawn would retire after the match, and Undertaker would go undefeated at WrestleMania until WrestleMania 30, a whole 4 years away. Shawn was one of Undertaker's toughest WrestleMania opponents ever, and if anyone came the closest to breaking it before WrestleMania 30, it was definitely Shawn Michaels. Number 9, Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. This WrestleMania sequel wasn't the best, and neither was the rivalry. Something about this rivalry just didn't seem to click with fans. The first of two matches between the two happened at WrestleMania 33. Randy earned his WWE Championship match by winning that year's Royal Rumble match. After turning on Bray Wyatt, Orton would meet then WWE Champion Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania using his guaranteed match. They would collide in a disappointing matchup. Bray's creepy tactics, with images being shown on the mat at times during the match, wasn't really cared for and did nothing for the match. The only thing positive about the match is it didn't last long and Randy won the WWE title. Bray as a champion wasn't bad, it's just the reign and run wasn't as special as it should have been, and Randy winning the title this night was probably the best part of the match. The two would try again 4 years later at WrestleMania 37. The COVID-19 pandemic was rocking the world, and this was the first show in a while that fans got to attend. To start the show off, we got the second Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton Mania matchup. This time, Bray Wyatt was the Fiend, and WWE was hoping for a better match for the two this time around. Unfortunately, this match was one of the worst matches on the card. Reactions from fans was a little high as they were excited to be at the show and see every match WWE was giving them. But no one watching around the world was all that impressed. The match took place under dark red lighting, which took away from the match itself. Also, the action in the ring was just poor and not too great. Bray would lose to a distraction by his then manager and stablemate Alexa Bliss, and it just kind of ended. Orton would win this time around too, and the best part about the match was it ended and didn't drag out too long. Nothing against both men, but these two matches just didn't have an impact at their respective WrestleManias. It makes this list cause it happened twice at WrestleMania. But if this were a best of list, it wouldn't be here. Number 10, The Rock vs. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Of course, we saved the best for last. The Rock and Stone Cold is quite possibly the greatest rivalry of all time. In their era, these two were both equally the top stars of the WWE. The number one spot was both men's spot, and that's a fact. And their rivalry was so good it happened at 3 WrestleManias. The first of 3 happened at WrestleMania 15. It was for the WWE Championship, and Austin was fighting The Rock in the McMahon Power Struggle. Austin would defeat Rock to win his second WrestleMania WWE title match. It had happened again at WrestleMania 17, in what is arguably the best WrestleMania match of all time. Once again, WWE title against a desperate Steve Austin, who needed this win, and they too put on a hard-hitting no disqualification match that turned into a classic and one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania main events ever. Austin would win after turning heel and siding with Mr. McMahon. The last of the 3 happened at WrestleMania 19. As the new era of stars was coming in, Austin and Rock had a chance to give us one last Attitude Era main event, and it was a strong way to end the era. Rock, who was doing his Hollywood Rock character, took on the Rattlesnake in what would be his last wrestling match for almost 20 years. These two went out and gave it their all to remind fans they were the best, and no matter what you saw from that point on, you'd never forget them or their rivalry. Rock would finally defeat Stone Cold at WrestleMania and end the trilogy. They've met time and time again years after their final Mania matchup at WrestleMania. But the reason this rivalry gets the number 1 spot is because in their WrestleMania trilogy is a big part of what made WrestleMania special. If you grew up watching these two veterans feuding at WrestleMania, you know just how special it truly was, and can certainly agree on it, taking the number 1 spot in this list. And that was our list. We hope you are enjoying our WrestleMania season-themed list, and would love to hear your favorite WrestleMania sequels or trilogies in the comments section below. Don't forget to follow Ring Post Daily Podcast on YouTube and Facebook. Until next Friday, happy wrestling.